Is this good or not? What do you think? Okay, some of you think that we don't have the capacity to survive by ourselves. Maybe that might be true. All countries, even United States, even China, they have imports. Even North Korea. North Korea is the country with the closest economy of the world, meaning they don't have agreements with other countries. We don't have free trade. They don't import a lot. However, they do have to import some products they cannot produce. Actually, they import a lot of food, especially from China, Russia, countries that are considered friendly with North Korea, because they cannot produce enough food to feed their population. So even the closest economy of the world today needs some kind of imports, needs some products and services from abroad. So in others can say, well, we're going to lose a lot of things. For example, tourism, very good. We don't have people coming here. You don't have access to, you don't know what's going on in other countries. So we don't know what's in fashion, what is the new music created by whom. We have to listen to cumbia, vallenato. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's different. Maybe some of you are not used to listen to vallenatos and cumbia, and now you will have to it because that's the only music that is available. Or we will be forced to create those products and replace those products and services that we are importing by locally made products. So even though this might be an incentive for Colombian entrepreneurs, for people like us to create new businesses to replace or to create products that can replace those products and services we used to import, but we cannot import anymore, sometimes we can do it. Sometimes, again, we don't have the resources and the knowledge to do it. So our lives will be affected, and we will have to accommodate our lives to a new lifestyle to survive with everything we can produce. So definitely it's going to be different, and we wouldn't have the same products and services because even if we want to, again, we cannot produce everything because we don't have resources or we don't have the knowledge. Also, I don't know if we will have enough food for everybody. We will have some food for things that you can produce in the tropic, but no other food. Salmon, forget about it. It's very expensive, but we don't have salmons in Colombia. And many other products that we just don't have the natural resources to produce. We don't have the supplies. So yes, we might lose many things. Companies may have incentives to create new products, but maybe they cannot replace all the products that we are used to use. So even though in those cases, we will have to have some kind of exchanges with other countries, at least to get knowledge, to get resources, so we can produce those things. Now, as I mentioned before, all countries in the world trade with somebody else. Even in their communist countries, even if they are close, they do have some trade with other countries because they cannot produce everything by themselves, okay? All this happens because of international business. This is international business. International business is what makes this happen. It's thanks to international business that we have relations with other countries, with other people, with foreigners, that we can buy and sell products, that our companies can sell stocks in other countries, that our companies can set entire factories in other countries, but also vice versa. It means that other countries can sell their products in Colombia, so we have imports. But also, companies from other countries can invest and create factories in Colombia. It means that we have access to knowledge, to information, to resources that we don't have at home, or very expensive at home, and we have access to them from other countries that can have them in abundance, so they are cheaper or more efficient or better for us to trade. So international business, at the end of the day, or an international negotiator is a person that has to analyze, has to plan, has to develop, has to control the strategy, the process of internationalization for all types of organizations. For private organizations like companies, for public organizations like governments, because of course the government also buys and sells things. Also for individuals like us, you as a person import and export things and you don't even notice it. Every time you're using Netflix, you're importing a service. Every time you're using Facebook, Instagram, you are importing a service. Um, every time you buy an imported good, like, I don't know, a candy, sneaker candy, you're using an imported product and you're buying it in Colombia. So every day we are involved in international transactions, and this happens because of international business. So international negotiators have to do all this strategy to analyze, plan, develop, control all type of internationalization, exports, imports, investment, franchises, etc., from all type of organizations, governments, people, companies, private companies, even NGOs, non-governmental organizations. How do they do this? Well, to do this, international negotiators have to have a deep and an understanding and an analysis of the different cultural, economic, legal, technological, and political environments of different countries. And of course, we use negotiation as a mediation tool to facilitate those relations, those international transactions, those international relations we have with other countries, with the idea to make them long lasting and productive. So every time we try to improve those negotiations so we can benefit our economies and our people. So in other words, an international negotiator works in many different areas. They can work in areas related with international economic environment, especially those related with international businesses and international relations. It means working in things like international trade, buying from other countries, selling to other countries. It has to do with logistics, how to manage the shipment, the cargo, how to make the product that is being sold in China be available in Colombia or in Turkey to make it available in Colombia. Is it going to be by plane, by land? Well, land is impossible. By ship, but ship and land from the port to the cities. How much does it cost? Do we have to pay an international insurance or not? What happens if the ship sinks, for example? All those things are related with international distribution and logistics, and international business also can work there. Also, of course, we have, or you can work in international relations and diplomacy. Because if your country has problems with another country, trade is going to be affected. And we saw this, I don't know if you remember from your classes at high school, that for example, when Chavez was the president in Venezuela and Uribe was the president in Colombia, they have a governmental problem. And from that, trade also was affected. Actually, the exit was expelled from Venezuela mostly because of this governmental issue. So international business negotiators can also work in international relations, in diplomacy, building trusting relationships between governments that will facilitate the exchange of information, of products and services. Remember, governments also relate with other governments. So that's where international business negotiators can also work. Of course, also in international negotiation, in policy making, especially in policy making related with creating policies that will provide benefits through international business, through international relations, through international trade. You can be a researcher like me today. Today I'm a professor and a researcher, although I work in different companies throughout my life. You can also work in international management. So you can work for a company that has locations in different countries and that has operations with different countries. So you can work in the management part of these companies. Or actually you can be an entrepreneur and create your own international business. You can work in international competitiveness analysis, international marketing, financing, the international legal environment. You can be a consultant for other companies or people or governments who are interested in international topics or deals or negotiations. And at the end, you can work in any multicultural and multilingual team. An international negotiator can travel a lot, yes, but not always. You can also work from home. You can work virtually with virtual teams. You can work in different countries throughout different stages of your life. So you can start working in Colombia, then you're going to work in another country, etc. So depending on what you want to do, you can work abroad or you can work inside. For example, according to our last forecast in AFIT, around 45% of our graduates are working and living outside Colombia. But some of them don't want to work abroad. Some of them work abroad at home, especially people that already have families and kids. So there are different options. Why? Because international business is very, very multidisciplinary. It means it has very different areas, and you can work in areas that have them together or in areas or in a specific area. So you can work only in international marketing, but also you can work in international management. It has marketing, finance, logistics, etc., etc. Okay, so at the end of the day, An international negotiator has to know about business operations, or about the government, or about your country. Where are you working? What do you produce? Or which kind of services do you provide? And not only that, but how this product or service is affected by the strategy, by the finance department, by the human resources of your own organization where you're working with. So you have to know that you are producing the right product at the right time in an efficient way, so you're saving money, that you have the right people working with you, that you're using the right colors, the right packaging according to the place where you want to sell your product or services, etc. So first, you have to know very good your business operation. Once you know this, you have to learn about the national environment of each country where you're going to operate, or with which country with whom you're going to have international, or you're going to establish international relations. It means you have to know about how the culture environment is in that country, which language do they speak, which one is their main religion, which words you can use, which numbers you can or cannot use, how to make the product more appealing, how not to be rude just because you don't know their culture, okay, how to respect them even though they may think or speak differently. Also, you have to know about their economic system, about the legal system, what is legal, what is not. For example, in Muslim countries, you cannot sell alcohol beverages. You cannot sell either makeup, okay? Or for example, they don't eat pork products. So you have to know all these regulations and also how these impact their cultural behavior so you can make better international businesses and relations. Also, you have to know about the political system. Is there a free country, or there's democratic, or there's only one political party? And if there is one political party, which one is the risk for you and how to manage the situation? All those things you will learn in international business. And of course, these changes according to the place or the country you're working with. Also, you have to know about the international environment and system. It means you are going to learn about international exchange rates, about financial markets, about the monetary market, about economic agreements, about government relations, and how to improve relations with the government, and also, of course, about international trade, meaning buying, selling international. And last but not least, all of this is involved or is affected by barriers or limits or let's say intervention of trade. Also, you have to know about competition, who's your competitor, what are other countries producing, what are other companies producing, how to be better than them, or can I cooperate with them, can I compete with them, what is the best strategy? And to do this, again, you have to know how they are, where are they located, and you have to know very good your own company and international system. But also you have to know what's going on in innovations, in technology development, in transportation technology. So if you take a look at this, international business is made up of very different areas. In other words, to be an international negotiator, you have to know about finance, about marketing, about logistics, about management, of course, about policy making, about governmental relations, all of those things, but all of them with a focus to the international market. So the idea is that you help Colombia to project itself to the rest of the world, and also bring the rest of the benefits or the good things of the rest of the world to the Colombian population, so our lives can be enhanced. This is a big summary of what international business is. I know it's a challenge, but many people are doing it, and you can also do it. Now, what do you think is the relation of international business and COVID-19, this actual crisis we're living? What do you think about this? What are your thoughts about it? Of course, some people think that because of international business and because of tourism, for example, which is one component in international business, well, the spread of COVID-19 has been bigger. That's potentially true. Actually, that's true because of trips and traveling and relations of people in different places. Well, the spread has been higher. But it's also thanks to international business that we have information about the disease. If we don't have this information, we don't know how to treat, which research is being done, who's doing the research. Maybe we don't have the vaccines on time, but we can import the vaccines and somebody else develop it. Also, as you mentioned, the use of internet and online meetings, classes, has increased a lot. Companies are learning to work from home, and not only in Colombia, but all over the world. And learning to work from home means that if you develop the skills, you can work from home from any company located in any place in the world. So as you can see, international business is also part of COVID-19. It's very good. It's a new opportunity to see what we're doing to improve or be creative about improving our performance and our acts, our production, our consumption, our economy, the ecology, but it's also an opportunity to see how to collaborate with others to improve everybody's life standards, everybody's well-being. With this, I'm finished my part, not without finishing with this sentence. The sentence was said by the main manager called CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Boeing, who said, we are moving toward a global economy. One way of approaching that is to pull the covers over your head. Another is to say, it might be more complicated, but it's the world I'm going to live in. It might be as well, be good at it. Now I'm gonna pass the word to my colleague, the international negotiator, Francisco, who is going to talk a little bit about his own experience as an international negotiator. Thank you very much, and I'll be here to answer all the questions.
Well, thank you, Professor Santamaria. That was a very, very interesting presentation on generalities of international business. Now, guys, I would like you to feel free to ask questions. I don't know, maybe, Santiago, tú podrías abrirle los micrófonos a los participantes por si tienen alguna pregunta y resolverla más rápido. Then we are going to open the microphones if it is possible. Well, as the Professor Santamaria was saying, my name is Francisco Rios, and I am an international negotiator from EAFIT University. I'm also a master in business administration. If anyone has a music on the back, please close it. As I was saying, I'm an international negotiator. I am also a professor at Universidad de EAFIT in the undergraduate of international business. I teach subjects from the area of international trading and international negotiation. I'm an entrepreneurial. I am an entrepreneurial. I manage a couple of companies on the textile sector. I have had, as international negotiator, I have had the opportunity to use my career from many fields in international supply chain management, in international transportation and logistics, and international negotiations and purchasing, imports, exports, etc. As an entrepreneurial, I have started a couple of companies of my own. So as you can see, the idea of this is to tell you that there are no borders for our career to be used and to be a professional in international business. Yes? Anyone who's got a question and would like to participate with a question? ¿Alguien quisiera hacerme una pregunta?
Profe, una pregunta.
Sí, claro.
No sé si de pronto te la tengo que hacer en inglés o en español, pero bueno. Quisiera preguntarte si de pronto tú sabes si en Colombia se realizan más importaciones o exportaciones.
Sí, claro, por supuesto, esa respuesta es relativamente fácil, especialmente en un país como Colombia. Hay algo que se llama la balanza comercial de un país, y la balanza comercial es básicamente la diferencia entre las importaciones y las exportaciones. Colombia es un país altamente importador, ¿sí? Nosotros importamos muchísimo más en dólares de lo que exportamos también en dólares, ¿sí? Entonces, en ese orden de idea, tenemos lo que se llama una balanza comercial deficitaria. El déficit aproximado, de acuerdo a las estadísticas del año 2019, estaba más o menos en unos 500, 600 millones de dólares mensuales de déficit de balanza comercial. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
If you want, I can help you a little bit with that question, and I can actually show you. I have a slide that shows how throughout time sometimes we have imported more than what we have exported, and in some years we have exported more than what we have imported. So let me show you. I'm gonna show you a small graph that shows this behavior. So during the last years, we are importing more, as Francisco said, and we have a trade deficit. That's true, okay?
Thank you, Professor Santamaria. Anyone who's got another question meanwhile? We have only a few minutes. I would like to take advantage of time.
Profe, yo tengo una pregunta.
Sí.
¿Qué tan competitiva es Colombia frente al mundo? O sea, para montar una empresa, ¿qué tan competitiva podría ser Colombia frente a otros países?
Bueno, hay unos indicadores internacionales precisamente que miden el nivel de competitividad, específicamente con eso que me estás diciendo de how to do business, cómo hacer negocios, ¿cierto? Colombia en ese ranking no está muy bien rankeadito, o sea, estamos ahí como de 150 y pico de países que mide el doing business, creo que estamos como de 80 y pico, o sea, no estamos muy bien rankeados. Realmente en ese sentido no es fácil hacer negocios con Colombia y en Colombia. Ahora, el tema de competitividad a nivel de negocios internacionales lo podemos medir desde dos perspectivas, desde ventajas competitivas y desde ventajas comparativas. Colombia tenemos como ventajas comparativas muchísimas, o sea, tenemos una posición geoestratégica muy buena, tenemos dos océanos, acceso por ende a dos mercados o a mercados pues múltiples, tenemos un clima que nos permite tener ventajas comparativas en algunos productos, especialmente productos agrícolas, tenemos culturalmente algunas ventajas también, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. No es que no seamos competitivos, somos competitivos en algunos renglones, como por ejemplo el café, como por ejemplo productos agrícolas algunos, somos competitivos en cierta forma en la zona en temas textiles, en tecnología de servicios también, tenemos, digamos, una mano de obra con un costo promedio en el mundo. En fin, no me voy a alargar mucho más porque no te podría decir si somos competitivos o no, porque eso depende de desde qué punto de vista lo miremos, ¿cierto? ¿Alguna otra pregunta que tengan?
Yo tengo una pregunta.
Sí.
Como decía usted en la parte de las ventajas competitivas y comparativas, que Colombia tiene mucho en la parte de la comparativa, ¿qué necesitaría un país como Colombia, que de hecho, como repitió ahorita usted, importa más de lo que exporta? ¿Qué necesitaría para en realidad como alcanzar a llegar a un nivel de competencia de que no solo las empresas se queden un poco básicas en la parte agrícola y vayan mucho más a la parte internacional?
Bueno, esa pregunta es muy interesante, también es muy difícil de contestar en tan poquito tiempo, pero lo que te voy a decir es que estamos con una oportunidad de oro en este momento de crisis por pandemia, donde básicamente todas las economías están generando grandes volúmenes de creatividad y se están reorganizando y se están transformando con unos niveles rapidísimos. Yo creo que Colombia va a salir muy fortalecido de esto, precisamente por esa explosión de creatividad e innovación que nos está exigiendo la situación y que nos va a obligar a crear muchos productos y a sustituir muchos productos que eran normalmente importados, y eso nos va a obligar también a que internamente desarrollemos rápidamente alternativas de industria y tecnología para resolver esos déficits que tenemos, ¿cierto? Entonces, creo que estamos con una oportunidad muy buena, en un momento muy interesante para nosotros los negociadores internacionales, donde debemos informarnos muy bien de lo que tiene el mundo y tratar de adaptarlo y crearlo en nuestro escenario local. ¿Tienen alguna otra pregunta? No sé cómo estamos de tiempo, Santi y Sandra, no sé si nos da tiempito para resolver más preguntas.
Sí, tienes un par de minutos más. Solo quería agregar algo a lo que dijo el profesor Francisco, y es también para mejorar nuestros niveles de competitividad tenemos que invertir, y tenemos que invertir en educación, en formación, y tenemos que invertir en capacidad de producción. No sé si han visto, ya por ejemplo estamos generando los ventiladores aquí mismo en Colombia, baratos, han sido probados en distintos países.
Universidad de Antioquia.
Hay varias, Antioquia, CEAFIT tiene otras cosas, en Bogotá hay otras universidades, la Escuela de Ingenieros, hay distintos productos que sirven mucho. Ahora hay que invertir en ser capaces de producir las cantidades requeridas por el mundo y aprovechar el momento. Y producir en formación, en educación. Si no hubiéramos invertido en formación, no tendríamos las personas que desarrollaran estos productos. Le vuelvo a dar la palabra al profesor.
Para una última preguntita.
Entonces,
sí.
Profesor, con lo que usted dijo, el desbordamiento de la creatividad que está surgiendo con las empresas colombianas, ¿sería fácil como levantar la economía del país después de esto?
No me comprometo con esa respuesta a decir que sería fácil. Yo creo que no va a ser para nada fácil, es un camino muy, muy difícil, pero no es el caso colombiano solamente. Creo que a nivel mundial todas las economías van a tenerlo bastante difícil, digamos, la palabra que utilizas tú, levantar sus economías. Ahora, la economía colombiana tiene un fenómeno que nos ha tenido, digamos, castigados o condenados por muchos años, y es que somos petróleo dependientes, ¿cierto? En este momento, con la situación mundial del petróleo, los precios internacionales tan bajitos como están, ¿cierto? Va a ser más difícil para nosotros, digamos, resurgir, porque hay unas divisas, un dinero que no está ingresando a la economía, que crea un doble efecto, no solamente la pandemia, sino una falta de recursos que le van a faltar al gobierno para poder generar lo que hablaba la profesora Santa María, de niveles de inversión en educación, en tecnología y en muchas cosas, que se supone muchos de ellos vienen de esas bonanzas petroleras. A medida en que el precio del petróleo se vaya recuperando y vayamos a nivel nacional recuperando también esos recursos, se podrá ir recuperando la economía más rápidamente, ¿cierto? Definitivamente, por ahora seguimos siendo petróleo dependiente. De nosotros los negociadores internacionales está que cambiemos esa tendencia. Es una responsabilidad muy grande. Generar alternativas para que nuestras empresas exporten y reemplacemos esos niveles de exportaciones de petróleo que eran los que nos traían los recursos en su gran mayoría en tema de divisas al país. Yo creo que con eso, para no tomarme más tiempo de la profesora, no sé, ya le entrego la palabra a la profesora Sandra.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. As you know, as you heard.
I have a little question.
Okay, go ahead. Good question.
It's not about the part of international business that, like the teacher of Francisco Reyes, but is the university specific. What is the English level that they prefer to be in the international business career?
Okay, to start the program, to enter the program, you need an equivalent to B1. B1 in international test, which is an equivalent to basic. Es un B1 que equivale a un nivel básico de inglés, es decir, que te sepas defender, que sepas usar los principales, pues el verbo to be, los auxiliares, y que sepas y que entiendas las ideas principales de una lectura. Es un B1 que puede ser en TOEFL, en IELTS y en distintas pruebas. So
and how could you prove it?
Okay, as I said, I'm gonna hold on. You can. There are different tests. We have a policy within the university that explains the tests that you can take. You can find them in the webpage, university webpage. But we're gonna do something. I'm gonna give the word to Santiago. Santiago is from Mercadeo. He's gonna help you with all those questions about registering at EAFIT, the procedures, the requirements. And meanwhile, I'm going to find the link that explains the test that you can present. For example, you can present the IELTS, you can present the TOEFL, you can present the TOEIC. However, because of the circumstances at the moment, you can also present a special test track at EAFIT University, and it's a virtual test. But I'm going to leave Santiago to give you more information about this. Is it clear?
Teacher, I got a question. But it's not like it's more like international business system that it's better to have like improve more in I don't know, like solar system, other things that the Colombia can be improving better than not have like a petroleum system. because now, like we're seeing, petroleum is going, the price is down here. You know, the petroleum sometime is going to be acabarse. It's going to be, you know,
Maybe over. Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah.
be over in some time. So I think it's better now that we have like the chance for this epidemic to change our energy system.
Yeah, I mean, there is a hope that many people has. One of the, let's say, perspective is that this is a very good opportunity to replace fossil oils for other kind of energy that is more, I mean, can be renewed, that doesn't have this big impact on the environment. But it has a little problem. Is, as the professor Francisco mentioned, the price of the oil today is almost $1. So with the technology we have today, we cannot replace the oil at that price, $1. Consumption might increase of oil because it's very cheap. For example, in places like the United States or Europe, oil is so cheap that is, and electronic cars of other means of combustion are so expensive, the technology to produce it and reproduce it is so expensive that at the moment it's not feasible to replace everything. However, as you mentioned, it's a very, very important incentive that we have today to start developing this new knowledge, this new technology to better sooner than later change to other sources of our energy. So as I said, it's a good opportunity, but it's hard when oil is so cheap because people will prefer, sometimes maybe you don't prefer the cheap one, but you don't have money to buy the other one. So that's another issue. So most countries of the world don't have enough money to change the entire system to other energy sources, but they're making an effort to do it. So again, yes, it's a good opportunity. I agree with you. I think Colombia should, I mean, not only now, but since like 20, 50 years ago, Colombia should change their model and not depend only on oil. We should depend on other sources. And that's why, as Professor Francisco mentioned, it's a big opportunity for all international negotiators to develop those new products and services that we can depend on instead of depending on oil, which the price is very volatile and will end sooner than later. Okay, so thank you very much. I agree with you. So as I mentioned, le voy a dar la palabra a Santiago de Mercadeo, quien les va a hablar un poco del proceso de inscripción y demás, y yo les voy a buscar el link, ¿sí?
Profe, estaba hablando con Santiago y como vemos que los muchachos están como tan interesados en participar, quisiéramos como no cortarles la participación o que estén tan animados. And if they want to continue asking some questions, we could go longer for a little while. So, guys, if you have any more questions and you want to take advantage of Professor Sandra Santamaria and me being connected with you, feel free. You will have time with Mercadeo and Santiago to talk about the specifics of the university, but if there are any questions that you may have and you want to interact, just feel free because we're going to be here for a little bit more.
Hello, Professor. I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, as you said, so there's this list that compares it analyzes how competitive are countries to make business with, right?
Yeah.
Okay, would it be easier for a country that I would guess is higher on the list, for example, Germany or any European country, to make business with Latin America, although they don't speak Spanish, and they are farther from Colombia?
Well, the question is, if it would be easy for them to do business with a country on Central America, even though they don't speak Spanish. Is that the question?
Yeah, who would have it easier, Colombia or Germany?
That's a very good question, actually. Well, just remember that language is not only one of the barriers you can find in order to do business, okay? That's one. The thing is that we find here in common is that Germans speak German and Colombians speak Spanish. So in order to communicate, normally it is not Spanish or German, the language that we use for communication. It would be English for both, yeah, because you know English. As you can see in the international business department of EAFIT, we do focus a lot or we are very strict in the requirements for English because English is the language we use for international business. Yeah. More than that, I would say that we could go analyze in depth more cultural barriers that we may have and which of the two countries will adapt easier to those cultural barriers. Which one will adapt easier? Germans to Colombian culture or Colombians to German culture? In that sense, I would actually say that Professor Santamaria could explain much better what would be easier in that way, in which sense would go easier to go in cultural differences.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Professor.
It's not like, sorry for, okay, thank you very much, for, Professor Francisco, for giving me the space. It's not like Germans, it's easier for Germans to do businesses in Colombia or for Colombians to do businesses in Germany. It's about how prepared you are to do businesses with them. It means you have to learn, as I said before, about the country, about the language, about the culture, about the political, social, legal system. What happens is that this is a generalization. There are a few exceptions. But what happens is that usually people from Germany are more used to deal with people from different countries. They are more open to other cultures, to other countries, because within the European Union, they have learned to deal, to manage differences in one single space, the European Union. So usually it's easier for them to adapt and to be more open-minded when doing businesses in Colombia than for a regular Colombia to open their mind to do businesses with Germany. But it doesn't mean we cannot do it. Again, if you're prepared, if you're open-minded, it's equally as difficult or equally as easy to do businesses in Germany as it is for Germans to do businesses in Colombia, considering, again, the differences. And things that might be simple that can ruin a negotiation. For example, things like meaning of language, of body language, things that, what does this mean in Germany is different to what does it mean in Colombia? What does this mean in Germany is different in Colombia? So you might be insulting somebody without knowing it. So it means, again, you have to prepare. So depending on the degree of learning, of openness that you may have, it will be easier or difficult. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's about your own capacity, skills, learning, your own preparedness to go abroad. And again, to be open-minded, to adapt to those changes and to respect others who may think different. No better or worse, just different. Okay?
Okay, so would you say that no matter what the list says, who does better in business is who adapts better?
But as a person, the thing is, institutionally, the environment is different. For example, in Germany, it's easier to establish a company from scratch, but it doesn't depend on you. It's about the procedure, the paperwork, the requirements you have to create a business is easier in Germany than Colombia, definitely. In Colombia, it takes time. You need to do a lot of procedures. You need to register. Professor Francisco knows it well because he's an entrepreneur. He has created companies. In Germany, you can do it in a couple of hours. In Colombia, it takes more than 15 days, for example. So, but those are institutional barriers, not personal barriers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the environment per se, the legal system make easier negotiations or harder. But you as a person can be as well prepared as a person in Germany to do negotiations. Is the environment the ones that may create more or less barriers or procedures or paperwork or taxes or things like that, okay?
Okay, thanks so much.
Welcome. Any other question?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, it's one that is flying my mind because for Latin America, a decrease of 2% estimated. Well, Brazil will fall 5.3%, and Colombia is better off than the large countries in the region with 2.3%. Just
Yes.
look at this, Mexico will fall 6.6%. Why Colombia is the best?
Okay, even if you don't believe it, okay, during the last years, Colombia has been performing rather well compared with other countries in the region. And there are different reasons for this. First, because to be honest, Colombia is not very open to international markets. So even though we're going to be hit, the impact is not going to be as big as it is in Brazil or in Mexico because their economies are more open. It means they depend more or other countries for trade, for businesses, and for money. In Colombia, still, most of our production is sold inside Colombia. Most of our companies work only in Colombia. So that's why first we are protected more against external, let's say, shocks or problems. Second, another thing is, for example, in Mexico and Brazil, according to some specialists, they have not handled the problem properly. I don't know if you have watched the news, but for example, in Brazil, the president has said this is a flu, this is no problem, we're not gonna have these containment policies and things like that. And the same happened in Mexico at the beginning, for example. And after they got the big problem, after they were hit with the problem, they started to create some policies, but they were already affected. And technically, I know it's very harmful for our economy what we did, the quarantine, because people couldn't go to work, but the impact might be smaller than if everybody gets sick in the shorter term. Not only because the health system doesn't have the capacity to treat us all at the same time, but also because you cannot work with sick people. Sick people cost money for companies. And not only that, if we are sick, we cannot work. And not only that, we're not gonna buy things. So you can produce, but nobody's gonna be able to buy your product. So at the end of the day, you cannot produce more things. So for different reasons, it seems like Colombia, even though it's going to decrease the economy, the impact might be smaller than in other countries. And those reasons are the policies that the government is taking, which actually most of them have been rather good for the economy and for our people. Second, because we are not very dependent on international trade. We do depend some, but not as much as other countries. Third, because our economy was better prepared in terms of economic stability. Even though Colombia has many social problems, Colombia has always been economically stable, even with an internal kind of war, okay? Also because the Colombian government until now and the Banco de la República, our central bank, have managed our finances rather well. With big corruption problems, but we have had a good financial management. Let's see what happens now, because as Professor Francisco mentioned, most of our income, the government income, comes from Ecopetrol, from oil. And the budget of the government is at least 50% dependent on the sales of oil from Ecopetrol. So now that we're not selling, and the budget was made, if I'm not wrong, with the oil price of around $50 or $60 per barrel, and now the price is $1 or even less, depending on the day. So that's going to hit our economy. Let's see how they handle this, so the impact is not going to be as big as expected. Okay?
Okay.
Any other? Before I ask the next question, I just put on the chat the link to a table that explains, depending on the test, which one is the score that you need. Remember, to enter international business, you need B1, B1, okay? So take a look at the name of the test and the B1, and then you will see which one is valid. However, also, please remember, at the end, Santiago is going to join us, and he will explain where you can take the test. Because of the COVID, we are making some, let's say, adjustments to this policy, at least during the next month. So you can present a different test that is cheaper, easier, and faster to take, okay? Any other question?
Yes, if I had a company, how hard is to be like to move into other country?
This question is for Francisco or for me?
Or whatever they wanted to answer.
Francisco, would you like to?
Well, I could actually tell you which way, the question is, which would be the easier way to internationalize a company? Am I right?
How hard is to internationalize a Colombian company?
Yes.
Well, first of all, you will have to understand there are many, many different ways to internationalize a company. Yes, via exports is only one of them, but you can also use franchising, licensing, making joint ventures and alliances, opening a branch in the country of destination, using a piggyback agreement, etc., etc. Those are called in some areas are called entering modes to an international company. I will have to tell you also that it's not easy. The simplest one and the one that people uses the most is exports. Is through exports, direct exports. As we have been talking about here, Colombia hasn't had it easy to export through history. specifically because of perhaps free trade agreements don't work the way we want them to work, or they have been negotiated in a very imbalanced way, because we are not very competitive. But I would say internationalization is not definitely a complex process. It is a little bit complicated at the beginning, but once you have implemented responsible and well-studied business model for exports, you could actually do it for many of our products. Yes. So I would say, yeah, exports will be the first and the best alternative I would choose to internationalize a company. Also, there are other models such as licensing, franchising, and things like that that are very successful. Just to give you an example, crepes and waffles. Yes. Someone with the microphone very open. Yes, there is, for example, crepes and waffle. You know it, and they have franchised their business into many other countries. They are in Central America, Panama. I have seen them. They are in Ecuador, I think, in some countries in Latin America. Yes, so that's also a very good way of internationalizing a brand. Yes, is the most effective and the one that goes faster and develops faster a business model. Okay, good. Thank you for the question.
Okay, teacher, thank you for that.
Do you have any?
Something?
Yep.
Tell me sincerely from your intellect what Colombia really needs. Get better.
What Colombia really needs to get better? Okay. Yes. I would say that first of all, we have
better in what? Because I mean, this is a very broad question.
Like a personal answer from what you know, such things, right?
I would say we will have to change our way of thinking, first of all. Colombians, in some way, we are stopping being entrepreneurials. I would say we are tending. There is a huge trend to change into becoming brokers or commercializing things. Just distributing will be easier than producing. Yes. And I would say that's a mistake. You know, we are turning all of our economy into our service economy, depending a lot also on tourism, which is very good, is very nice, but now we can see what happened in the pandemic. What is it to depend on those sectors? Yes, only because right now it is the manufacturing and agricultural sector, the one that is going to maintain the economy levels. Yes. Even services has been very affected. Well, that's actually my point of view because I am a manufacturer. Yes, it couldn't be very objective if you see it that way. But I would say we are supporting the economy right now from the manufacturing industry. So we have to tend to recover that entrepreneurial feeling that we had, investing in technology and creating new jobs in the manufacturing industry also, as to become more powerful in the international scenario and more competitive. Sandra,
I would say, yeah, I would say for me, we have to change our minds. Many companies don't explore international opportunities because it's complicated. I mean, it's different to what they're used to do. They already know the local market. I mean, if you're selling in Colombia, if you have always produced in Colombia, you have always sold in Colombia, you know who's your consumer, what do they like, how to sell them. But to go abroad means they have to learn about new people, new products, new distribution channels, new opportunities, and it takes time, it takes effort. So, and I have actually spoken with companies in consulting companies or in some research, or when I work in the past in different industries, and they say, well, we're going to get in all the trouble. I'm fine the way I am. I can grow internally. But, you know, we're not seeing the real opportunity outside. At the beginning, as Francisco said, it might be complicated because you have to learn new procedures, new ways to do things. You have to learn new cultures, but it pays off. If you do it well, it pays off. You have benefits, not only for your company, for the entire economy. And of course, we have structural problems like corruption, like we lack the proper infrastructure to make easier the transportation and distribution of products locally and internationally. But again, we need to learn, we need to take advantage of what is existing here. We need to take the challenge, and believe me, there are many opportunities. We have to take on of those opportunities to help the economy and the country.
Professor Sandra, I have been told that we are out of time now.
Okay.
I'm going to let Santiago now to close the meeting with some comments from Mercadeo Institucional. Thank you very much to all of the people that was here. We had we had about 40 people participating. Thank you very much for being so interested. Remember that we are here to answer all of your questions in the International Business Department, and you will have some more opportunities to interact with us within the week, am I right? With different sessions, with different professors. So take advantage of these sessions, and because I can see you are very interested in the career, and you could actually do excellent international business people. That's what we need in this country right now. Thank you very much. Santiago, go ahead. Adelante, Santiago.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and welcome to International Business. Bye, have fun.
Listo, buenas tardes a todos. Pues no, estuvo muy interesante la sesión. Yo creo que todos estamos acá muy conectados con los profes. Yo venía a contarles pues un poquito más el tema de las inscripciones al pregrado de Negocios Internacionales. Por si están interesados, les voy a compartir entonces como muy rápidamente los pasos que deben tener en cuenta, los documentos. Entonces, bueno, pues el proceso es de manera virtual. Las inscripciones iniciaron el 11 de febrero y van hasta el 5 de junio. Entonces todavía tenemos como un mesecito de inscripciones. Entran por Google, módulo de inscripciones EAFIT, ahí les aparece pues la primera opción, ¿cierto? Bueno, la inscripción tiene un costo de 182.000 pesos. Hay algunos pregrados que tienen entrevista. En el caso de negocios internacionales no tenemos acá, digamos, ese filtro, esa entrevista, y es simplemente adjuntar la documentación. Acá en la diapositiva pueden ver entonces los documentos que se necesitan para iniciar el pregrado. Debe tener algunas preguntas como el certificado del ICFES, que está en uno de los documentos. Con el certificado de inscripción es necesario, es suficiente. Con que ustedes presenten el certificado de inscripción al ICFES es suficiente y no habría ningún problema. Y las notas del colegio que solicitamos acá, las notas del último año cursado, es decir, si están en 11, serían las notas de décimo. Si ya se graduaron, las notas de 11. De todas formas, les voy a...
Ahí, por ejemplo...
Sí, cuéntame, preguntitas. Contame.
Por ejemplo, hablando desde mi colegio, nos alcanzamos a inscribir toda la plataforma de IFES, porque en el momento, en la semana incluso que íbamos a hacer la inscripción, fue que empezó a ocurrir pues la cuarentena. Entonces no sé si van a haber como algunos casos donde se acepten que se pasen todos los papeles menos la parte del IFES.
Bueno, pues es que mira, en realidad hay que revisar muy bien ese tema, porque ya de pronto se nos sale de las manos aquí en EAFIT. ¿Por qué? Porque ese documento es un requisito que solicita el Ministerio de Educación, no es ni siquiera EAFIT. Entonces, para entrar a cualquier institución de educación superior en el país, tú debes haber presentado el ICFES. En este caso, vamos a recibir el certificado de inscripción al ICFES por todo el tema de la coyuntura, pero entonces habría que revisar muy bien ese tema, porque sí es un documento pues como importante para la inscripción.
Santiago, qué pena yo interrumpo, no sé si de pronto lo que podemos hacer es que el joven te deje todos sus datos de contacto y se mira internamente a qué se puede hacer para que a futuro, pues para que miren opciones y que no sea un impedimento para que te puedas inscribir.
Claro que si quieres, entonces me escribes por acá por chat tus datos y te voy contando pues cualquier novedad, cualquier averiguación que tengamos y novedad sobre el documento. Okay. De pronto alguien tiene alguna otra pregunta de temas de inscripciones.
Sí, yo tengo una.
Sí, cuéntame.
Profe, ahorita escuché, no sé si fue que entendí mal, que hacía falta un nivel de inglés. O sea, sé que hace falta el nivel de inglés, pero ¿exigen algún certificado o algún papel que certifique mi nivel de inglés para la inscripción?
Santi, ¿quieres que te dé una mano ahí con eso? Sobre todo para los negocios internacionales.
Súper buena tu pregunta y sé que les va a servir mucho a varias personas. De todas formas, mientras Francisco nos responde, les voy a poner por el chat el link donde ustedes pueden ver todo el portafolio de exámenes que son válidos en la universidad. Dale, Pacho.
Sí, muchachos, ustedes para ingresar al programa de negocios internacionales tienen que tener suficientado un examen de inglés que los califique dentro de, digamos, los niveles del marco común europeo como un B1, ¿sí? Para ingresar. Eso, digamos que es el requerimiento mínimo. Lo ideal que yo siempre recomiendo es que ojalá lo presentaran y sacaran B2. ¿Por qué B2? Porque en negocios internacionales ustedes para el sexto semestre tienen que, si entran con B1, tienen que seguir estudiando inglés y tienen que seguir presentando una prueba para que para el sexto semestre la suficienten en B2, ¿cierto? Pero quien entra con ese requisito de B2 desde el principio, ya digamos que tiene ese requisito listo y no tiene que preocuparse por él. Adicional a eso, y creo que no lo hemos mencionado, la carrera de negocios internacionales en EAFIT tiene una característica y es que nosotros, además de el inglés, exigimos a nuestros graduandos que para poderse graduar tienen que tener un tercer idioma, ¿sí? Y ese tercer idioma también lo deben suficientar antes del séptimo semestre para salir a práctica. Y lo tienen que suficientar en nivel B1. ¿De qué idiomas pueden, digamos, cuál es el abanico de opciones de esos idiomas? Ustedes pueden elegir entre chino, mandarín, italiano, francés, alemán, portugués, coreano y creo que se me escapa uno en este momento. Bueno, tienen un abanico de 6 o 7 idiomas que ustedes pueden...
si quieres, te digo cuáles son. Se necesitan para prácticas, se necesitan para para principios de séptimo semestre y son, además del inglés, como lo mencionó el profesor en B2, puede ser el que ustedes elijan entre italiano, japonés, portugués, alemán, mandarín y francés. Cualquiera de los 6 lo estudian por su cuenta y dependiendo del idioma hay un examen X que determina, digamos, el nivel de competencia en esos idiomas.
Ahí está, me faltaba el japonés. Y entonces ustedes eligen de una de esas opciones, lo comienzan a estudiar desde que arrancan la carrera, si no lo tienen, porque ya también hay algunos colegios de donde ya que vienen con alemán e inglés o vienen con francés e inglés, ¿cierto? Pero si no lo tienen, pues tienen que pensar en eso también durante su educación al principio de la carrera para que lo tienen que suficientar para poder comenzar su práctica profesional. ¿Listo?
Profe.
Dale, Santiago.
Como última intervención, quiero aclararles algo. Hay muchas personas de ustedes que en este momento se están preguntando dónde pueden certificar su examen, ¿cierto? Su B1, porque todo está cerrado. En este momento, en el Testing Center de AFIT está habilitado un examen virtual. Listo, entonces ustedes pueden, se los dejé aquí por el chat, se llama el Track Test. Es un examen virtual para que ustedes puedan certificar su nivel de bilingüismo.
Santiago, si me permites, yo quiero decir una sola cosa para terminar. Uno, primero, que el idioma no se convierta en una barrera. Si ustedes realmente quieren estudiar negocios internacionales, acérquense a la universidad, acérquense al mercadeo, hablen con la jefe de carrera para que les dé información de cómo pueden acceder al programa, si ya tienen el nivel de inglés o si no, qué otras rutas pueden hacer mientras obtienen el inglés y pueden hacer una transferencia interna o pueden adelantar otros cursos en otra carrera y luego transferirse a negocios. Y como les decimos, están los requerimientos que explicó Santiago y en el inglés lo pueden hacer este test track que se está presentando en este momento de manera virtual en la Universidad de AFIT, porque en este momento pues el TOEFL, el IELTS y los demás no están funcionando. Entonces que no sea una barrera, no se desmotiven. Antes es una motivación más para entrar en una carrera que abre las puertas al mundo.
Así es, Sandra, muchas gracias. Bueno, entonces, pues ya cumpliendo nuestro horario, Vamos a darle pues como fin a nuestra primera sesión. Los esperamos mañana en la segunda sesión y les dejo aquí el WhatsApp por si tienen cualquier pregunta, les podemos responder por ahí sin ningún problema. Nos vemos mañana. Muchas gracias a todos los asistentes y que les vaya muy bien.
Gracias y hasta luego.
Hasta luego, muchas gracias.
Hasta luego, muchas gracias.
Bye-bye, guys. Take care. Thank you very much.
Bye, take care. Thank you.